Thank you for having me. I mean, it's also like a very interesting initiative to talk about this topic, and it's interesting that you have a space for it.
For me, it's a really great opportunity that we have this event in the university. Also, this situation with Setare. Beside the professional life of her, I wanted to mention that she's one of the dearest and most important person in my life. So this connection for me is important.
Okay, let's go.
Setare Fatehi is an artist researcher not based in Tehran and London. In their current research, they have been looking at the formation of translocal collective bodies, hosting remote dancing beyond the colonial borders that have been separating and debilitating many. Setara is a co-director of Jacuzzi Dance Space in Amsterdam since 2017, a guest lecturer for the MA choreography students in Amsterdam School of Art since 2021, a member of Forge Collective in Tehran since 2020, and currently perusing their PhD at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama since 2024 in London. So, Setara, let's start. A little about your work.
So I basically, it's been for like few years that I am kind of like focused on a research that is like looking at the collective bodies that are connected through digital means. So basically, like bodies that are remote, or as I mentioned, they are distanced, so like they are separated, but still with the digital and technological means they are connected, and they're connected in a daily basis, in like working environment. They are even somehow, as some of them might say, they live together, and they certainly share economical resources. So my question basically is that what is this collective body, and how can we look at it? What are the, let's say, the borders of it, and what does it need, and how can it be more present in the processes of knowledge making and dissemination in our world now? And so basically, I'm looking at like hybrid gatherings. I'm looking at like collective projects that happen beyond borders. And most specifically, I am looking at transgression of borders that are colonially and imperially loaded. So basically, let's say like I'm not so much focusing on collectives that are gathering within the borders of like European Union, but like more about like people who are like connecting beyond the European Union borders, or the UK borders, or this kind of like borders within, in between the what is known as the global South and what is known as a global North. In my work, I work with like live gatherings. So I kind of like create these live gatherings with different people from different places, and then we create a text together. We deliver a text together and some visuals. So this is one of the, like, let's say, gatherings presentations that we had. One friend was in Istanbul, one friend was in Tehran. I was also in Tehran in my house. I was the one delivering the text, while these two, I asked them to walk from their office, or where they work, back to their homes. And we did it at the same time. So we connected. It was a conference. They basically started walking towards their houses, and somehow they both managed to arrive at the same time to their houses. So we basically are just like seeing this daily lives, the experience of people in two places at the same time.
Stage, be it an academic conference or theater or a speech, instead of the subjectivity that it can add to the thought processes. Indeed, I is disabled when it is asked to leave the home feeling for its presence to be recognized. Home is a tricky word, so I try to replace it with familiarity, perhaps, with language and roots that goes beyond, over and around ancestral interrelations, roots that connects past to the future as a web of relation that is amorphous, fluid, and opaque at times.
So the question is, which country do you feel belongs to, or how much do you feel connected to your country of origin? And of course, I have this question about the border of the country also, but what do you think about this?
I'm pretty sure the intention behind these questions are like very positive, and I'm grateful of them. But some of the questions, they use words that maybe I resisted to use them. And I actually think that's very interesting to have them in the question so that we can kind of like poke them and see like what is there. And one of the words is belonging. And back when we were doing swim, which Yalda was also a part of that project, I was really insisting on like switching belonging to longing. Belonging for me was like connected to like possession, to attachment, to ancestral heritage, stuff like that. When I was talking about longing, it was more about like current attachment, places that I want to be, places that I want to contribute to, places that I want to live in, which gave me more freedom to talk about. I'm a dual citizen of, let's say, if I want to talk about cities, I will talk about Tehran and Amsterdam, but also like we can talk about country borders, then Iran and Netherlands, or even like Iran and Europe in some ways, or like the Schengen area, because like basically the passport that I have give me the freedom to live within that border. So I can also like consider myself the citizen of Europe in some ways. I think the feeling of longing, the feeling of like wanting to be somewhere, wanting to contribute, feeling love, feeling attachment, feeling FOMO, feeling the missing of certain things in those places happens through like spending time more than the stories we know from the past, from the place. I lived in the Netherlands for 15 years, and I left Tehran when I was like 24. So in some ways, I kind of lived in both places for quite a substantial time to feel them as my homes in some way. But at the same time, I remember like when I read this question, I was like, it's crazy that I really remember the anger when I landed in Europe. And I landed in Europe not to become a migrant. I came to study. And I was like, I'm a student. I want to study dance. And I want to study dance in this particular school. So that's why I came. And I came with also like the idea that I really want to go back as soon as possible, because I was like, sobbing when I was leaving Tehran, like having to leave all of my friends, all the like fun life I had as a 24-year-old in Tehran. And when I came to Europe, I had this like internal anger coming out. And I think it was coming from the fact that like there was something sold to me as that it was not true. Like it didn't feel true. Like there was something about freedom, something about success, something about all those kind of words that like I want to say that, okay, the feeling of longing or belonging, somehow I think that feeling grows when you spend time in those places. So in that way, it should be, for me, happening in both sides. And I feel like when I'm talking about the anger, when I entered Europe, is that anger kind of made me not want to belong, made me not want to even long for this place. So I kind of always kept myself in the border of living in the Netherlands. Like I've been coming back so much as I could, and my pocket would allow me to Tehran. I made most of my most important friends when I was actually living in Netherlands in Tehran. And I think the reason was that there was an assumption that I would have to like appreciate the life that is given to me. And I thought that I am doing my best, and I was like trying my best to be a part of. And as you see, and Yala was also talking about the Jacuzzi Collective, like I'm a part of that community, and I really love the friends that I have there and like the things we do there. But still, when I talk about Netherlands, there is some kind of detachment. There is some kind of like undoing of belonging or longing.
Maybe let's stay with that. What does cultural diversity means to you?
Mm. Again, I take the liberty of being an artist and not a politician and not a lawmaker to play with these words. Because like I understand that in the lawmaking level, these words, they have certain meanings and they are functioning. The word culture for me is a tricky one. I don't know. I don't know how to use the word culture, so I don't use it so much. Just because I feel like I don't know its borders, like there is some kind of assumption that there are separatable behavior of certain humans that can be called their culture, and then now we're going to put them next to each other and like kind of like love them all. I think we can still carry on with talking about diversity. And I'm writing in my work about the work of Denis Ferreira da Silva, who has an essay that is called Difference Without Separability. And I think that tells a lot about how I refer to diversity. And there are differences, and our differences are not even that different if we want to like face them as like identities, put them next to each other. So they're all like influenced by each other, or even somehow are created as opposed to each other, which means that they hold some part of the negative space of the other one. And those differences are not separable. So the whole point is that she's criticizing this, like the European philosophers of like 17th, 18th century, that they gave us this assumption that as if it's possible to separate people by their differences. Therefore, then there are categories. And then now here we are talking about like putting the categories together, or the importance of giving value to everyone equally. For me, diversity is the acceptance that like we are inseparable. Like that's it.
خب من میخواستم ازت یه چیزی در فارسی یه چیزی راجع به بحثمون، هر چیزی که دوست داری رو بگیم.
فارسی ما کالچرال دایورسیتی رو میگیم تنوع فرهنگی. تنوع به معنای اینکه چیزهای مختلف رو بیاریم کنار هم بذاریم. من دارم خواهد به این تنوع با این دید نگاه کنم که اون چیزهای مختلف اصلا اونقدر مرزهای مشخص متفاوت از همین رو ندارن، و در نتیجه قبل از هر چیزی مهمه که قبول کنیم که توی هر تفاوتی که وجود داره یک بخش آشنایی هم وجود داره، و اون بخش‌های آشنا میتونه اینا رو کنار هم دیگه جمع بکنه.
Thank you so
خیلی خوب.
much, ستاره جون.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
جون،
time. قربونت برم.
فعلا.
فعلا.
خداحافظ.
خداحافظ.